Okay, let's go over a really quick demonstration on this. So, remember, these things are representations, right? And that's what we're doing. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go right in. I'm using the colored pencil on this one, by the way, so that's more visible on the page. I'm going to go right in here as far as, if you look at kind of the inside part of the eye right here from this photo, seeing like a very hard edge right there, and that's what we're going to talk about, hard edges and soft edges first. And pull out, hard edge, pulling down here, a little bit of a, starts to get softer because it's in the light, but what I'm looking at is pure edges. Over here, you're going to find more of a firm edge, right? So I'm going to actually reflect that. It's going to be a little bit fuzzier. Right, because of that curve, it's not a corner, right? It is a corner, like if you think of a skull, but it's not, how do you say, it's not like a, you know, the corner of a box, right? It's a little bit of a corner of like a rounded organic corner. So that'd be a good, like, firm, maybe you could even consider it soft. Down here at the bottom, that's definitely more of a firm. Pulling back here. It's a little bit harder there, actually. Gonna go right here at the top, and we're giving an approximation here. I'm not gonna try to get every single angle on this. Most of it's for demo. So pulling down here, very, very hard edge. Obviously, there's like a little bit of firm to hard edge there. Pulling back in underneath, and pretty much just all of it's hard underneath there. So a good example right here would be on the nasal part, right, of the skull. The reason I like going over skulls is because there's so much of the edges stuff contained in this, and there's so much that's easily demonstrated. So I'm gonna go over here and go to the soft edge right there, pulling up, again making that edge soft. You gotta remember there's degrees to this stuff too. Inner part of the kind of the brow there, and then I'm pulling out over here for that line, down underneath right here, hard edge, and I would say the bottom is pretty hard as well. And then you can pull up a bit here. Going right here, mostly just kind of toying with the shadows. I'm really thinking a lot about the darks and the lights right here. Pulling in right here, a little bit of firm, more of a firm here. And this is kind of where we're kind of experimenting on, like, what is it that we're gonna do? This is our decision making, right? So this is, could be a soft right here around the edge, but around the lip of the edge there, but what I'm seeing right there is more of a firm. Proportions obviously incredibly important, but that's a whole other thing, right? Right now we're just talking about, you know, the actual edges and shading. So just gonna keep that in mind. So I'm gonna kind of push through this stuff. And normally I'd be measuring stuff out a little bit more, but for this I'm just giving you kind of the shading aspect more. Going over here, I'm gonna see there's this this ambiguous spot, and this is where decision making really comes in. You know, from artist to artist. I'm seeing a very, very, like this dimple, I forget what it's called, right here on the skull. Forgive me, I knew it in the skull drawing lesson. But this dimple right here is very hard, and there's kind of this ambiguous stuff over here where it can be simplified, but it can be also, like, for example, one artist will think this and the other one will think that, right? And that's with every drawing, but right here on this cheek, there's this kind of gray zone. It's like, you can simplify it several different ways. So I'm just gonna do it this way right here. Put a little soft right there. Gonna move down here to the tooth cylinder, and right here is gonna be relatively soft. Gonna go in right here, and you see these little, like, soft edges too, soft and hard edges right here where the gums are. Like right above the teeth, as you can see, like right above the teeth of the gums, that's a great example of, you know, those kind of areas of like a little bit of soft, a little bit of hard, like hard against soft, right? Because on top of the teeth, it's gonna be pretty hard, right, the very top of the teeth. But where the gum starts rolling around, there's gonna be a little bit of a soft area. Pulling down here. Kind of gonna go over here, more of kind of a straight line. There's more like the kind of a dark area there. Gonna continue down. I'm continuing to follow the shadow, really. That's because I like working within the shadow right now, and I think that's kind of what I'm gonna stick to. So, like I say, there's different frameworks. Sometimes you can work into line art, but right here, since this is the whole thing, I'm gonna work through shadows. Gonna go down here on the bottom of the tooth cylinder. So I'm thinking of the top row of teeth, the bottom row of teeth, and then kind of that, you see this area below where it starts rolling. It gets pretty soft down here too, like incredibly soft. And then it kind of rolls around the chin area, more kind of slightly hard over here and that shelf, and it goes down. Let's go over here to the top of the temple over here, and this is super soft. It's a larger curved area, right? The forehead, so it's clearly going to become much softer there. Right, it goes soft all the way to the head. So let's start making sense of these, right? I'm going to start putting the edge line over here. So for example, I'm going to just go in straight up, find the edge of that skull on the far end, just kind of make sure this makes sense. Going up here to the forehead, it's going to be a slight curve right here as it rolls into the top of the head. Out over there. Remember that there's this isn't a skull drawing lesson, but number one thing is people try to give somebody a smaller back of the skull. I'm not sure why that is. Gonna go over here, pulling down over here, curve again, just going like straight up line art. Edge right here to the tooth cylinder, the top of the gum line. Down right here, the edge of the teeth, and down for the bottom of the teeth, out over here for the kind of back of that chin area, jaw area, cross over here for lower chin, and I'm gonna find the shape over here as well. So this is going pretty far down, curving in. Kind of the back of the head there, back of the skull. Downward. And gonna find the back of the jaw there. Just kind of finding that overall shape, right? Let's find that cast shadow of this entire thing. So, right here. See, okay, so something about a cast shadow, and I might have said it. I'm not sure if I said it in the other one, but it gets very sharp, the edge of the cast shadow, when it's very close to the object that's casting it. And as it goes farther out, it gets a little bit softer. It starts to really turn into a firm, and it can get soft as well if it goes far enough. So this is in the back there, so it's not quite butting up against it. So I would say it's starting out a firm over here as we see it. And I can't really see the edge of that, but I'm just going to end it over here somewhere. Right, so we got that so far. If you need to rewatch this demo a couple of times, do that. Because this stuff is kind of the foundation for like all shading, right? I use this for everything. I use this for monster drawing, for everything. Anything that's real or fake or anything. Okay, so now that we look at this, we're gonna shade in kind of the entire thing. Not the entire thing, but we'll give it a light glaze. So right here on the eye, it's catching, you can tell it's catching a lot of light. Right there. It's in the darkness, so it's catching a lot of light. Over here, I'm gonna fill in a lot of this. And I'm just gonna fill it in with one flat tone, the same as the other one. Just flat. Right, oops, forgot. Let me find the where the teeth come together. There you go. Again, flat. This is why it's so important to draw from photos or from life, because you get to judge values a lot more. So we're gonna go over here, just make it totally flat, totally flat, right? This whole area is in shadow. Right on. Right here, same thing goes for the cast shadow. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't wiggle stuff too much. And more or less I just put stuff down there, right, to have it down. Just so you're not looking right at the white of the paper. Okay, so next stage, this line's pretty dark, honestly. The next stage is you can find secondary shadows. So I'm seeing this bone over here, right? Like it's going to be the cheekbone, essentially. And again, we're simplifying it for this demonstration, but you know, I'd measure things out a little bit more if I was doing it a different way, but I think that works as well. Going over here, pulling in, curve, down. And what's happening in the picture right there is you're seeing this light come through from the other side. I'm going to do something different. This is straight up a decision. I'm going to just make this a little bit darker, like it's not catching as much light. Like light is not coming through. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to give this a little bit of a darker value, right? The dark within the dark. And it's just to make it simple for this. Going up here, pulling a line over there, there's a bit of a temporalis there. And I'm also going to give this a little bit of a darker shape to it. Going to go into the eye here. In this area, the eye is going to catch much less light, so I'm going to just shade a little bit, make it very soft. It's going to transition very softly, right? Same thing goes for in the nose here, kinda. I'm seeing a little bit of a darker shape more on the other end, so I'm gonna create a little bit of darker area here. And same thing goes for the inner right here, right? We're making a little bit darker where it's gonna catch light. You have to, it's pretty easy to try to figure out. You're like, okay, if it's deeper into the skull, it's gonna catch, you know, much less light going on. I'm gonna continue here now with the I think it's called ambient occlusion here, the completely dark spots, which would be, you know, essentially the line right there, but it's kind of where the chomping happens, essentially, where the teeth meet. And same thing goes over here, right under here where the top, the bottom of those gums there. And same thing over here, just kind of putting that there, just so you know that it's there. Really, there's gonna always be a little bit of less information in the and right here as well, it kind of slides in. There's always gonna be a little bit of less information in the shadows, right? I mean, it depends what kind of thing you're doing. If it's all about the shadows, maybe not, but generally there's a dimple on the far end over there. See that on the left side? Dimple right there. I'm gonna throw that over there. There's also another dimple over here, kind of like a dimple right here, like coming down. It's like a dent right here from the nose. And from this point on, now you get into details, essentially, like smaller details. So like I can go over here, put some halftone over there. I don't think it's like quite necessary for the demonstration, to be honest, but you start to kind of go back and forth with stuff. You start to mess with edges. You start to just kind of toy with things until it, you know, until it's appropriate for whatever it is that you want. And you can do this stage forever, honestly. I'm gonna go in here maybe with each individual tooth, especially over here in the light side, because it's showing a lot more. Information is much more apparent on the light side. On the light side, you can do way more, I think, because of just kind of the contrast between the light and the dark, where in the dark there it's not quite as extreme. And just kind of keep toying with that. But I think I'm gonna stop it here. Honestly, this is most of what you need, really. You're defining certain things, and you can toy with them afterward. But this stage is not gonna change things that much. At this point, it's a lot of toying around, right? So I can make this a little bit darker, even though the image it's not. I can toy with maybe this edge right here. Might be make it a little bit darker. It looks like too much of a line, and you just keep messing it with that. But that is actually painting in shadow. I like painting in shadow. That's essentially drawing from the shadows as a primary source right here, which can be a technique, by the way. So I can make it darker near the object. And at this point, it's up to you. You know what you want to do, but absolutely try out this technique, by the way, this way of drawing, which is finding the shadows, the edges first, because it can look really beautiful, honestly. If like right here, I'd soften more, but again, that's enough for the demonstration. Hopefully you got the point across. Let's move on to the pretty much the last video.